So we're here up on quite a high point on the island. Just ahead of you, you can see Brimstone Head, one of the corners of the flat. Let's point that. Thank you very much. Very good at pointing out. Now I'm just joined here. That's very good. You joined here by Dr. Iris Taylor and also Bruce, who is the nephew of Bartholomew Seeker. Now, Iris, tell us a little bit about Bartholomew briefly.
Oh, well, Bartholomew, of course, he was here on Fogo Island as the guardian of the corner from 1971 to 1978. And of course, that panorama that you saw there before, Brimstone Head, is the site of the corner that Bartholomew was so interested in looking after and monitoring and keeping an eye on and venturing upon.
Oh, excellent. Very interesting. And Bruce, do you have any memories of Bartholomew growing up?
Yes, I do. I mean, he was often away, and my mother and him had an interesting relationship, but not a really close one. But from the photos and from meeting him and also from her talking about it, I'm the only child, my mother's child, that came out kind of on Bart's side. You know, the Seeker side. I look more like the Seeker.
Right,
and
okay.
so she had this special relationship with me because I was like her brother. And he was a bit of a dandy.
Right.
And he probably would have been in art too if he really had thought about it. But his work was kind of artistic. Yeah.
Well, it was. He did have some, I would say, fairly artistic interpretations of the material that he was researching. And of course, you know, his approach to teaching was a little bit more creative than many teachers. You know, there was some, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you may have heard some of this too back in the 70s. I believe there might have been some controversy with some of his testing processes and the kind of requirements and rigor that parents felt his students were engaging with, even though his students became out of his programs with much more sense of the ability to question.
Yeah, I think it was that eccentric side that he brought into teaching, and he demanded a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, I remember that. I remember being quite open about his opinions and just somebody who cared a lot about himself and
so Bruce, I wonder if you know, because I've never found anything to indicate this, did Bartholomew ever have a significant love interest in his life?
That was the thing that was always a big question, because I said my mother called him a dandy and I didn't know what that meant, you know.
Right.
And as you get older, we said, well, the possibility he might have, you know, liked men, but we weren't sure. He just there was never ever a relationship that was talked about.
Right.
Which was fine, but I mean, he was always so engaged in his work.
Of course.
And then when you unearth some of the things that he buried in, I mean,
I've heard and seen about these.
Very eccentric, but also they had this archaeological kind of collected side. That, you know, so I just think he was such an engaged person that maybe he didn't really have time for.
I mean, if only he was here today, we could have, you know, had a chat. Now, imagine by this point he'd be rather old by now. He was born in 1919.
So he'd be right up there for sure.
Perfect. Well, thank you both very much. It's a good little insight into his life in such a lovely location as well. So